Okay, guys, so now we're starting chapter 2. And this first section is really short. There's just two formula in it that we need to know. One in particular, this distance formula. Okay, and it's going to be useful in the next section. So suppose we have 2 points, right? So we've got this point, -4, 3, and 8, -2, and we want to know the distance between these 2 points. Well, what we can do is extend the x-coordinates and the y-coordinates so that we make a right triangle. And then we can figure out the distance between these coordinates, the x-coordinates, the distance between the y-coordinates, and by use of the Pythagorean theorem, figure out the distance of the hypotenuse, which would be the distance we were searching for. Okay, so basically we can see here that it says the horizontal side of the triangle has a length of 12. Well, how did we get the length of 12? First of all, is what we want to know. And so these are our x-coordinates, right? The x and the y. Okay, and so my x-coordinate for this point is -4. The x-coordinate for that point is 8. And so if I just take the difference between those, right, 8 minus -4, that's 12. Same thing here. My y-coordinate is 3. My y-coordinate is -2. 3 minus -2 is 5. And then once we know, we can plug into the Pythagorean, once we know these two leg distances, we can plug into the Pythagorean theorem, which gives us the distance formula. So all the distance formula is telling us the distance between 2 points is strictly the Pythagorean theorem. So if you ever have trouble remembering how to acquire the distance formula, just remember the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, so think about this then. A is going to be the distance between your x points, right? And these subscripts, that just means your second x point and your first x point, right? So you take the difference between your x points to get that distance and you square it. And then you take the distance between your y points and you square it. And then that equals, okay, your total distance squared, because what you have here is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, I don't want that to be squared, I just want the distance. So then we can go back and square root both sides. That is exactly where this formula came from. Okay, so then all we have to do, once we know the formula, and it's basically just a matter of memorizing this formula, then you just plug in, you know, your second x point, your first x point, your second y value, your first y value. So let's practice that. Okay, we want to find the distance between these 2 points. So I've got to know my distance formula. Okay, and if I need to use that Pythagorean theorem to help me remember it, that's fine. A squared plus b squared. Okay, so I'm just going to plug in to find the distance here. It's the square root of my second y-coordinate. It doesn't really matter which one you call your first y-coordinate or your second, first or second x-coordinate or y-coordinate. Okay, so I'm going to say 3 minus -8 all squared plus, now this was the x-coordinate I used, so here's my y-coordinate, -2 minus 4 all squared. So this is 3 plus 8, which is 11 squared, plus negative 2 minus 4, negative 6 squared. So 121 plus 36, or 157. Okay, now I need to see if this will simplify, right? So let's see, first of all, it's not divisible by 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Okay. I'm not thinking that'll simplify just off the bat. But don't forget to check it. Okay, so the distance formula. The other formula is called the midpoint formula. And all it is finding if we had 2 points, like we had earlier, right? What is the point that is right exactly halfway in between them? So this is a point. I want to know it's an actual point. That other one we found the measurement, a length, that distance. But now I'm just finding another point. So notice it's in coordinate form, and all you do is find the average of the x values and the average of the y values, right? Average, right in the middle point. So you add the 2 x coordinates, divide by 2, add the 2 y coordinates, divide by 2. So let's try that then. All right, so let's put that midpoint formula up here for us. You just add the 2 x coordinates, add the 2 y coordinates, divide each by 2. Okay, so the midpoint is, if I'm going to add the x coordinates, I have 8 plus negative 6 over 2, and then add the y coordinates, negative 4 minus 1 over 2, to give us 8 minus 6 is 2 over 2, negative 5 over 2, and then don't forget to simplify any fractions. So now we have the point 1 and negative 5 halves, or negative 2 1/2. That's the point halfway in between these 2 points. Let's do that one more time. Okay, so I'm going to add the x coordinates, negative 6 plus 8, and divide by 2. Okay, 12 plus negative 2, and divide by 2. So 2 over 2 again, and 10 over 2. So this point is 1, 5, halfway in between these 2 points. Okay, that's all there is to this section. Just, know those formula and be able to apply them.